This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Mercedes' dominance throughout the hybrid era has been like nothing we've ever seen before throughout the entire history of F1. Their success has been almost unreal when you look at the bigger picture, but as much respect as that deserves, there's no hiding the excitement that many people have throughout Formula 1 at the prospect of a new winner in 2021. However, regardless of whether or not Max and Red Bull will win this season and whether or not Mercedes will then continue to win in the new era, I want to talk about the effect that Mercedes has had on the sport and whether or not their success and dominance on track has been good or bad for Formula 1. The first thing I want to say is that there are arguments for both sides, and I'm going to begin actually with the positives. Now, this might sound crazy, but the first thing that was a positive when Mercedes started dominating is that we got to see a brand new team start winning and challenging for titles in Formula 1. If you look at the couple of decades before the emergence of Red Bull and Mercedes in the 2010s, Ferrari, McLaren and Williams were the only ones that actually fought for titles across different generations. Sure, we had the one-off dominant season for Brawn in 09, the 2-year spell for Renault in 05 and 06, and despite the emergence of Benetton and Schumacher in the 90s, they only won one constructors title, which was in 1995. If you take away those three teams, the last time someone else had won a constructors title in F1 was Lotus back in 1978. So, seeing the emergence of Red Bull, and more specifically for this video, Mercedes in the previous decade, it shook up the establishment and it showed teams like Ferrari and in particular McLaren that their place at the top of the sport was not just guaranteed because they had the longest history and the biggest racing heritage. Of course, that very same argument could also be used right now in saying that with F1's big three of Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari, which in recent years has kind of turned into a big two, surely it's time to see the emergence of another team. But this leads to my next point and the biggest positive, which is that, for better or worse depending on which way you see things, Mercedes as a team and as an organisation from top to bottom has set a new benchmark in Formula 1 in terms of standards and consistency. I watched the Red Bull dominance in the early 2010s and I've gone back and rewatched the dominance of Ferrari in the early 2000s, and although both were unbelievably impressive, neither of them stack up to just how assertive and almost unbreakable Mercedes have been on their run. Raising the quality and maintaining those standards across an entire generation and different regulation periods is what drives Formula 1 as a sport forward, and it's also what makes the other teams around them work even smarter and even harder to adjust, improve, and compete. Now, before we go any further, I do just want to say a quick thank you to Squarespace, who are the very kind sponsor of today's video. If you're looking to build your own website using an easy-to-use platform for your personal blog, your online store, or maybe even a portfolio for your work, then Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you. You don't need any experience in web design, there is a huge amount of guidance, the interface is also very easy to use, and they have a bunch of incredible templates that you can start using right away. It only takes seconds to drag and drop the pictures that you want, change the fonts, titles, design, and color of your website, and in no time, like you can see on the screen as an example, you can have a blog ready to go. And there is even a feature that shows you what your website would look like, both on desktop and also on a phone as well. Now, if you are interested or just curious, then head over to squarespace.com and just have a play around with the web designer. You don't actually have to pay anything, it's all free to use, so you can just kind of let your creativity run wild. But then if you do want to make your website go live to the rest of the world, you can then use my code Aldas or use the link at the very top of the description to save yourself 10% on your first website or domain. So once again, a massive thank you to Squarespace. The two men at the heart of this dominance, of course, have been Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton, who with the help of each other, in less than a decade have carved out a new page in the record books of F1. Now, there are thousands of other people that deserve a huge amount of credit for getting Mercedes to where they are today, and that includes the likes of Rosberg and Bottas, who played a crucial role in maintaining those high standards and putting the team's interests ahead of their own on more than one occasion. But what Lewis and Toto have done in terms of never slowing down, doing things the right way, and showing the likes of Ferrari and Red Bull that there is a way that you can run a successful and dominant Formula 1 team with two quick drivers and not have any inter-team politics and not have that team surrounded in media controversy, which only ever affects the team in a negative way. Don't get me wrong, Mercedes have not been perfect, but they've shown that it is possible to win and dominate without blatantly favoring one driver and alienating the other, with the power of full transparency and no inside games being played. What Mercedes as a brand has also allowed is for Lewis to be the vocal point for things beyond F1, which helps to put a spotlight on issues that would have never been talked about by a different team, but also might not have been talked about had Mercedes not had the huge success that they had, and if Lewis Hamilton did not have the platform that he did, courtesy of his achievements. Mercedes with Toto at the helm and Lewis at the wheel created the blueprint of what a modern F1 team should be like. But although you have to respect their achievements and how they changed the sport, it doesn't mean that watching the on-track racing has been nothing but joy and entertainment for the fans. We want to see close racing and we want to see close championship battles. The simple fact is, and I want to say this first and foremost because this is the most important argument, when teams dominate, it just isn't great to watch for year after year. Teammate battles for titles are always great, but nothing matches the thrill, the excitement and unpredictability of when two different teams are able to battle it out for the title. The most exciting season for me, excluding 2021, which obviously hasn't finished yet, was both 2018 and 2017 when both Mercedes and Ferrari had great cars which could win the championship, and we got to see the two titans in Lewis and Seb go up against each other, especially in the first half of both seasons. I've consistently maintained, however, that both Ferrari and Seb collectively just weren't good enough both on and off the track, and that is why both of those titles never went even close to the wire, and so part of the blame has to go to them as well for not giving us more exciting seasons. Strangely enough, the strongest opponent Mercedes has ever had to fight against during their dominance has been the FIA, with all of the constant aero rule changes to try and combat Mercedes' advantage. That is the heart of the problem, because especially for more casual fans who don't care about Mercedes raising the boundaries and Lewis Hamilton breaking records like I do, some people just want to see close racing between great teams and drivers and a close championship which is exciting to watch right up until the final lap of the final race. It really depends what kind of fan you are and how deeply you're invested into the sport and that team. Ultimately, every single person watching this video is connected because we're the crazy people that love watching cars go around in circles. And whether you respect the Mercedes dominance or not, the racing just hasn't been great and as close compared to the previous decades. However, that also falls on F1 because Mercedes have had to take a lot of the heat because of the mistakes that F1 have made themselves. The TV paywall, the team's pay structure, the complicated and expensive hybrid power units, and the 2017 aero changes, all of these things and more are now hopefully going to be rectified in 2022, but we can't just act like it's all Mercedes' fault and that F1 have done a great job of helping the sport thrive during this period of dominance. Ultimately, to me, I can't nail down a one-word answer as to whether or not Mercedes' dominance has been good or bad. To me, it's both, because there are aspects of the sport like the growth of F1's image on social media, the number of countries that want to have a race on the calendar, and the amount of young talent that we have as well, which makes me excited, and all of those things show that Mercedes hasn't stopped the sport from having a bright future. But there is no doubt that more drivers have to be put in better positions to race and win championships over the next decade. In the end, when an all-time great team that delivers competitive cars year after year, and an all-time great driver who has the raw talent and mental toughness to dominate anyone on the track, when those two things meet, there was only ever going to be one result. You can't control someone's greatness when he or she is put into the right environment to let it shine. Yes, that doesn't always make for the most exciting and intense races to watch, and it doesn't give us those close title battles that go down right to the wire, but just like with everything, it's not the job of Mercedes and Lewis to slow down, it's the job of the others to catch up. In 2021, it really does look like their 7 years of dominance might come to an end, but that doesn't mean Mercedes and Lewis are done winning more titles in the future. So there you have it. I hope you did enjoy this video. Now don't forget to let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below, and once again a massive thank you to Squarespace. Don't forget to use my link at the very top of the description if you want to save 10% off your first website or domain. So once again a massive thank you to Squarespace. Anyway guys, there you go. Hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, then don't forget to drop a like and smash that subscribe button. And guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.